my entire career has been public service. I will more than likely jump back to it. I just love it, man. I just love giving back to communities. And I view my work really as an artist, and I'm drawing a picture through my work with economic development or community development, workforce development to really enhance communities. So.
What up, though, Black Fridays family? Welcome back to another installment of the Black Fridays podcast. And as you already know, already joined by another dynamic guest. And this person, I think, has the record for the very first person who joined the podcast in person from the IG Live days. None other than the brother Collin Mays. How you doing today, man?
Mr. Turner, it's a pleasure, brother. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm glad to have you back. And a little bit of backstory for everybody watching. Me and Collin actually met through Instagram and through the Black Friday series. And ever since then, I had thought about it. It's been almost 4 years.
Yeah.
Almost 4 years at this point. I want to say like in the spring, it might be 4 years. And he's been a good friend ever since. So good to have you here in person, and would love for you to be able to explain to everyone what brings you to the podcast today, and then also what you got going on.
Well, hey, man, I had to stop in and say hello, pay homage to you and all the great work that you're doing, man. Loved all that you did with Black Fridays on Instagram. Glad to see that you're here in studio and you're continuing to build, and that's what I love and that's what I support. Here to talk about a variety of different things, from Black Men's Health Symposium I'm working on, to my business, which I've started, to solar philanthropy, to LeBron's, et cetera, et cetera. Glad to be here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so let's take it from the standpoint of the work that you do as far as LMS solutions and your consultancy. And I want to learn more about what it is that you do with that, and then the services that you offer and the types of folks that you work with.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. So, LMS Solutions is something, a company I just founded back in August. And the goal of the company is to really focus in on addressing challenges that nonprofits have, specifically Black-led nonprofits, when it comes to fund development. Everybody's, of course, scrambling for money. When it comes to strategic planning, marketing, and branding. I actually did a survey a while back, and I found that those are kind of the three areas that all nonprofits, but specifically Black-led nonprofits, struggle with. So LMS Solutions is kind of meant to be that middle person. So myself, able to come in and, if I have connections with banks or people I've worked with before in the past, I can, pitch a proposal or help the nonprofit with a proposal, and helping them with the overall kind of strategic plan of their nonprofit for the next, let's say, 3 to 10 years, right? Mm-hmm. The biggest challenge with nonprofits across the board is how do we sustain them beyond just the 2 to 3 year mark. It's tough, and it requires somebody that can come in and serve as a consultant and really be able to kind of help put that organization on the map for success, and that's what I do.
Nice. Very nice. And that work is definitely important. Being someone who myself has had a nonprofit for years, and you don't know what you don't know, essentially. And so being able to have somebody to be a liaison or a guide in that respect is definitely important. So we'll get more into that a little bit later, but I want to reintroduce you to my favorite part of Black Fridays, which is Freestyle Fridays. So it's a random assortment of questions. They all about you. You just got to answer honestly and answer each one.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
All right. So you're a basketball fan, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I've been wondering this myself for the last week or so, but I want you to tell me, and you can only talk about players that you've seen play. So you can't talk about any legends that played in the 50s, 60s, anything like that. But if Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant never played in the NBA, who would you say is the greatest basketball player of all time, of players that you have seen and grown up watching play?
Man, that's a great question. It might be a tie. I don't know. I can't say a tie, right? But man, Allen Iverson was fantastic. I mean, I remember watching AI back in 2000, 2001. I remember having the questions. He was rocking Reebok. I remember that. Tim Duncan was a favorite of mine. I mean, maybe boring on the court, but man, just fundamentals. I mean, was able to get the job done. it was so many great players. Vince Carter, I was a big fan of. T-Mac, I was a big fan of. I definitely would have to say amongst all of those, I'd probably say Allen Iverson. I mean, I think just his style of play, even though he never won a championship, which is a shame, but his style of play, the way that he was able to lead the Philadelphia 76ers to the finals, I just remember being pumped up and being really excited to be an Allen Iverson fan.
Yeah, I might have to agree with you on that because AI was definitely, you think about people who are game changers, and that's what we think when we think of Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, people like that. And I think AI was probably the next closest as far as game changer and the way people play the game, the style, swag that they had. So I think AI, and then if we take the injuries away, before he started getting injured on a more consistent basis, probably T-Mac. Like, you can't really discredit what he did.
T-Mac was man, he was one of a kind, and like you said, with the injuries, it impacted him. But I mean, look at his time with Orlando. Like, that's how I actually remember the Magic. It wasn't from Shaq. It was from T-Mac.
Right.
Getting them, like, even if they were the 8th seed, still having to, like, winning 3 games in the first round of the playoffs. I mean, and that was all him carrying the team. No disrespect to any other player.
Exactly. Now, you're a big LeBron fan, collector of LeBron shoes. What would you say is your favorite shoe of LeBron?
Man, that's a tough one, and I'm glad you threw that out there because I was getting ready to say, no, let's not misconstrue AI for LeBron. No, let's not do that. But I am a huge LeBron fan. He's the GOAT, no doubt about it. Anybody that questions it is just crazy, so don't even listen to the nonsense. I would say my favorite model of LeBron's shoes has to be the 9. I'm a fan of the 7s. I'm a fan of the 8s, but the 9, for some reason, it really stuck out at me. I wish that they retro more 9s. I wish Nike retro more 9s. So if Nike's listening, you need to get back out there. But man, I love the Watch the Throne 9s.
Fire.
Those are fire, man. South Coast 9s were fire. I remember back in the day, the Christmases. Remember the Hornets. I mean, they had a lot of great 9s, but you could also make the same argument for the 7s and the 8s too. I'm glad that the 2s have been retroed. I wish we get a little bit more 2s. They're on the 4s right now, which I'm adding to my collection. I think the only retro LeBron that I just don't like whatsoever has to be the 5. I just think that the 5 was just like, but every other line, man, was fantastic.
Okay, that's how I feel about Jordans after 14. Once you get to 15, you start getting in uncharted territory. So I'm with you there. Super random question. What would you say is the most random job that you ever had?
The most random job I ever had. Well, I'll tell you, my first job I had was working at a library, West Bloomfield Library. I was in high school. And I worked that job, and I worked another job too at a sports store because I was, a big sports fan and was crazy about LeBron back then. Like when LeBron came into the league, I was 13 years old. We were, 13 years old. So for me, I didn't really get a chance to see much Jordan. I know that we've got the nostalgia with MJ, but it was really LeBron, and to see his kind of longevity throughout the years has been incredible. But yeah, I would say library. But I love to read books. And speaking of that, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
I just left, shameless plug, I just left Source Booksellers, which is in Midtown Detroit, owned by Janet Webster Jones. Encourage everybody to go there. Janet has been in business since 1989, and she's done a fantastic job. So I just picked up this book here by Walter Mosley, who's one of my favorite authors. So I'm looking forward to reading it. So I'm a reader, man, and working at the library was certainly a good experience for me. So
fire.
Yeah,
fire. What's the last album that you say you listened to all the way through?
Ooh, I couldn't even tell you. I think I'd have to go back to maybe high school days. I mean, I haven't, like, an album. It's been a while.
Okay.
It's been a while, yeah. I couldn't even tell you. Probably something Lil Wayne or, yeah, maybe Lil Wayne. Yeah, I don't know. Don't ask me which one.
Mine's it's not even embarrassing. I'm going to stand on it. Pink Friday 2, Nicki Minaj. That's the last rap album I listened to. Well, album in general that I listened to all the way through because everybody's talking about like it was good. Yeah. And I'm like, is Nicki really back? And then she brought it. So Pink Friday 2 is fire.
I have not listened to it. Oh, you know what? I listened to a jazz record by Eddie Jefferson.
Mm.
That would have had to been my last one. I'm a jazz fan too.
Okay.
So, but yeah, no, I have not listened to Nicki's album. Yeah, I'm
No
gonna take
praise.
your word for it.
For sure, for sure. And then we're gonna talk about Black men and overall wellness and health in a little bit. But I want to know because this is the new year, what do you feel? What's an unhealthy habit that you would like to change of yours for the new year?
Man, I'm gonna be fully honest and transparent. Texting and driving. You know, I know that Michigan just changed the law, which I'm glad that they have. I'm so guilty of texting and driving. I already got a ticket for it. So,
Allegedly,
you know,
yeah. Allegedly.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna own it. Man. I'm gonna own that one. I'm gonna own that. There's a lot I won't own, but I'm gonna own that one. And it's a bad habit, so don't text and drive. I'm guilty of it myself, but we get better every day. So,
Nice. Well, congratulations for passing Freestyle Fridays once again. You passed with flying colors, so appreciate you engaging in the randomness. So wanted to, I'll go right back into Black Men's Health Symposium. Is that the correct title of it?
Yes. So it's actually the title. It's a working title right now, but I think we're going to call it Brother Let's Talk Health. And it's going to take place on Saturday, April 13th at Hartford Memorial Baptist Church, which is at 18700 James Cousins in Detroit, the west side, 7 Mile Lodge area. And great partnership with Wayne State University. We're looking for another sponsor. I'm sure we will get that other sponsor. And it's going to be really just a fun day of sharing knowledge, experiences, doing the proper checkups that are needed, screenings, addressing some of the challenges that we as Black men face with sickle cell, some of the challenges we face with heart disease, some of the challenges we face with cancer, everything from not having proper access to healthcare to having proper access to healthcare and not going to the doctor, or having proper access to healthcare and just letting time slip by. But so much of the challenges that we face in the Black community really stems from just not having the resources. You think of good quality food, we historically have not had access to it, or it's been $3, $4, $5 for an apple. And if you're going to spend that, you're looking at a McDonald's, Happy Meal. I can get that for $3.99. I can get a whole meal,
right?
And it's quick. So. Just trying to change how we view things. And also it's going to be kind of a therapy session, man. I mean, myself, Kevin Dedner, who I have a ton of respect for, who's been in the field for so long addressing Black men's health specifically. He's from Little Rock. He lives in D.C. now. And Dr. Harold Woody Neighbors, he always likes to throw the Woody in there, longtime professor at U of M, now currently lives in the Virginia area. He'll be flying in as well. It's going to be kind of like a 3-way TED Talk conversation. And it's going to be it's going to be an opportunity for Black men to be vulnerable, to talk about some of the challenges that we have, not only from a physical standpoint, but from a mental standpoint, because it all ties in. And we're going to just address the systematic challenges that we have as Black men in the space.
Dope, and very much needed. And I wanted to ask you, from a personal standpoint, what made you want to be a part of developing something like this? Because, I mean, you can be doing anything in the world, but what made you say, I actually want to be a part of putting together this type of event, symposium, where Black men can be able to learn more and take more accountability and get more education about their health overall? Sure.
Well, I read something in Authority Health. Now, let me preface by saying you can't believe everything you read in the papers, right? We know that. But Authority Health, very credible. And I love Loretta Bush, who runs that organization, which is based right here in Detroit. Look them up, definitely. But the article was just saying that the average age of life expectancy for Black men in America is 61 years old. And it broke my heart, because that's not even retirement age. If anything, now they're saying we got to work till we're 70. Well, if I got to work till I'm 70 and I'm supposed to be dead at 61, that doesn't add up. And my own personal journey, I've lost 200 pounds over the course of, 5 years, and maintaining it is hard. Losing it was hard, but it really does come down to just having that in the back of my mind that, hey, look, I got to be around long enough to provide for my family, and to really, just to be quite frank, enjoy my money. I mean, I'm going to work for another, 30, 40 years, hopefully more so doing the fun things that I want to do than being tied down to the 9 to 5 political games. But it's important that we have the opportunity to live a full and fulfilling life when counterparts are living to be 85, 90. And if we live to be 61 or even mid 60s, like that just doesn't add up.
And what are some of the important resources that you all are kind of like bringing in for this symposium for the fellows who will be in attendance?
Yeah, so I really want to give a great shout out to Wayne State. They hopped on right away. They saw the need for it. Wayne State's been a great partner. I'll say this: they've been a great partner to the Black community in terms of providing health access through their mobile clinic, which is kind of an underutilized resource that I think we should all tap into more. When the pandemic happened, it was highlighted more than ever the systematic challenges that Black and Brown communities have when it comes to being able to address healthcare, being able to go to physicians. So their new program run by Dr. Phil Levy really does get to kind of the root cause of some of the challenges we have, which is transportation, being able to get to the doctor. That's right. That's a big one. So I really do applaud Wayne State, and I think they put their money where their mouth was when they said, yes, we're all in, we want to do this. And I will also say that having the ability to talk about some of those various challenges that specifically Black men face, whether it's dealing with the emotional stress of balancing family, employment, friendships, other work relationships, trying to exercise, trying to eat properly, trying to get 8 hours of sleep. I think that there's so much pressure, put on us because typically we're not just taking care of our immediate family, right? If we get married and have kids, but we're typically reaching back to the generation that was before us. So parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, and that's just kind of what we do, and that's a form of philanthropy too. But it's important that we prioritize ourselves.
Absolutely. And I would be remiss without asking you. You had mentioned that your journey in terms of losing 200 pounds and maintaining weight to where you are now. What made you want to take your health more seriously as a Black man? Because typically that's taboo for us as far as, I don't need to go to the doctor. I'll be okay. Or I don't have time to go to the doctor. I got to go work. So many different factors that come into play when it comes to Black men and their health and overall wellness. So I want to know what made you want to say, I got to make this change in my life and continue to make the conscious effort to keep that change going and sustaining.
Yeah, for me, Denzel, it really just came down to understanding that, hey, look, I want to be around. If I can live long enough, then I can fulfill all the dreams that I have on this earth, and hopefully, when I transition, God will allow me to go beyond and continue to fulfill my dreams in heaven, right? But for me, I want to make sure that I'm being the best version of myself while I'm here. And I don't think I could do that having been at my highest 419 pounds, So it was important for me to lose the weight. I had always been a big kid, and something that I didn't think I could do, and that motivated me even more to say, you know what, I know I can do it, and I'm going to step by step, little by little, I'm going to get there.
And what was your kryptonite when you was going through that process? Because similar to you, I've tried to take more accountability for my overall health. So getting in the gym, changing my diet to a certain extent, but it's carbs and all that type of stuff that can be a kryptonite and a hindrance on that process. So I'm wondering, like, what was yours?
Listen, man, I still have issues with carrot cake. I still have issues with Reese's peanut butter cups. But that's okay because, it's balance, right?
Yeah.
I allow myself one meal a week that's just like a cheat meal. It could be whatever. I mean, I'll tell you what, I've had like a whole large pizza as a cheat meal before, and I'll just get like ranch. Do you eat ranch with your pizza?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I'll just get, some people might say that's disgusting, but
right.
I'll just get like a barbecue chicken pizza. I could dip it in ranch, and I'll just devour the whole thing, man. I mean, no shame when it comes to the cheat meal of the week, but just trying to be disciplined with what I eat. Also, timing of what I eat matters, right? I mean, I want to give my body, similar to taking a test. Now I know we've all crammed in those high school and undergrad and even grad days, but I didn't do that well when I crammed, the night before, and I had to retain information in less than 7 hours. And the body's the same way. Like your body is not going to be able to fully process. Okay, I had this today, but now I'm eating again in the next 5-6 hours. I haven't even fully processed what you already fed me. So you have to be able to fast so that your body can do its job and be able to process what you've already done.
Gotcha. Giving us the gems and the keys in order to lose that weight and keep it off.
It's tough, man. Maintaining it is definitely hard, no doubt about it. But I went out and I said, I'm gonna get some custom suits because I'm a big guy. I'm 6'5", and I said I'm gonna get some custom suits. So if anything happens to where I can't get in these custom suits anymore, I know whose fault it is. And, the amount of money you spend on those custom suits, I'm staying in them. So it's accountability.
Right, exactly. So I know that over the years you have worked in different public sectors, and then also in the aspect of philanthropy, working with nonprofits like you do now, or different organizations such as like Wayne State, things like that. But wanted to know from the standpoint of over the summer, we got a chance to reconnect for the Solar Philanthropy exhibit that you had at the Detroit Historical Museum. And then that was a huge gathering of so many different philanthropic organizations in and around the city of Detroit, so many wonderful Black faces who are behind those organizations or support those, being able to all come together and then be embraced by the history of giving back and what that means to Detroit, not only in past years, but currently right now. So I really wanted to know more about your journey in being a part of that and developing that, because that took some time. I remember me and you had conversations about it maybe like a year and a half before it even took place. So wanted to know what that journey was like for you and what that kind of meant to be able to bring that to the city of Detroit.
Yeah, man. The Soul Philanthropy was I call it a project, but really a mission. For me, I worked on it for 5 years, like from 2018 up until when it came to Detroit, because I saw it originally in Atlanta. And I said, wow, that'd be fantastic if it came to Detroit. And then I saw it in Cleveland, and I loved how Cleveland not only had the National Soul Philanthropy exhibit, but they had kind of their own local content, which is what we implemented and emulated here in Detroit. And then I saw it in Chicago. I was like, man, it has to come to Detroit. There's no reason why it's not here. So, Kia Washington, who I have a ton of respect for, my colleague, my friend, my partner really in crime, we got together and we were able to serve as co-chairs for the initiative. And two younger kind of professionals that not really as seasoned right in the philanthropic game. And so much of what we did was just kind of like reaching out to different foundations and different corporations and sponsors and saying, hey, this is our vision. This is what we want to do. We want to tell the stories of Black philanthropists in Detroit. And what I loved so much about the exhibit was that you had 6 categories that we focused on from the local side. You had business, right? Because the business community is philanthropic. You had education, because that was huge for us, because we wanted to focus in on teachers. We wanted to focus in on administrators, tell their stories. They're not doing it for money. They're doing it because they really want to give back to the community. We had clergy, which historically in our community is huge when it comes to philanthropy. That's how I learned from a dollar perspective how to give, was through the church. Whether it was going to Hope United, Hartford, People's, Little Rock Baptist, whatever it was, like just going to church and being philanthropic in terms of tithing. We did a special tribute to the Divine Nine, because anybody that's Greek, 06, knows that you give through your fraternity, through your sorority, and the Divine Nine is a big part of Black philanthropy. We did General Community Champions, right? And then we did service organizations, and we had just a plethora of people that we featured. We had over 90 portraits, which was a lot. Looking back on it now, man, I don't even know how we got any sleep. And Kia and I did it, completely pro bono. Like we didn't get paid for it. This was a labor of love. This was something that we wanted to see happen, and it was the best experience. and it was so well received that we're going to bring it back in 2025. Probably not 90 portraits this go around, but we might even incorporate some new categories. We're probably going to have less programs. I know we went. Man, we went crazy with the programs. We had maybe like 13 programs. We're gonna scale it down to 4 this go round, but it was a great time, and we had tremendous people featured for that.
Yeah, it was phenomenal to be there firsthand, to be able to experience being in that room with so many dynamic people who have made impact in the city through their philanthropy for so many years, like literally for decades, as long as I've been alive. And then also it's an honor to be featured, a part of that exhibit.
I was going to say, yeah, can you talk a little bit about the collab?
Yeah.
You were one of our service organizations.
For sure. So the collab, we've been around unofficially since 2015, and then officially on paper in 2018. And we're a nonprofit organization focused on community organizing and really just trying to leave our community in a better place than we found it, through the pillars of entrepreneurship, business, financial literacy, and then also creative skills. And then that's where we work with our students in our DOC fellowship program, where they get an opportunity to learn those things from us, professionals who have these skills and been working in these industries for years, and then also giving them hands-on experience to be able to provide them with information that's going to not last them once they get into college or immediately after high school, but to help them become those adults in the future who are going to take that information, make something of their lives, hopefully change the dynamics of their family for the better, and just improve whatever that situation is. And then also being able to bring that back is the overall hope, in that they in turn invest in young people the way that we did, and they find somebody to mentor, and then really just kind of create that positive feedback loop. So yeah, we've been doing that, operating in that for a while now. And so it was great to be able to be featured, a part of that. And like I said, with so many heavy hitters who were a part of that exhibit as well.
Yeah. I mean, and we were glad to have the collab part of the Solo Philanthropy. And what I loved was that we bridged organizations like the collab, and then you had organizations like Black Family Development. So you're able to bring together different walks of life, right? We had newer administrators, maybe those that were from Pontiac Public Schools. Then we had maybe administrators that had been in the game, for a little bit longer period of time. We had teachers that maybe people never even heard of, and they hadn't heard of them because, in the Black community, and this is something that's important when you're thinking about philanthropy, is that we're so humble as a people that what we do, we don't even consider it to be philanthropy, right? We just consider, that's just something that I do. I mean, the neighborhood grandma that takes care of somebody's kid, that's cooking a meal. That's philanthropy.
For sure.
Just kind of reaching out to anybody that needs a helping hand. That's philanthropy. And we really wanted to change how people viewed philanthropy. It's not just a matter of writing a check. We do that very well too.
Right.
According to W.K. Kellogg, Black Americans are the most philanthropic from a monetary perspective than any other race in the country. Little known fact. But it's so much more to it than just that. And we really wanted to highlight that. And I think we accomplished it.
And thinking about the whole essence of philanthropy and giving back, is there any organization or people that you feel like were huge in terms of just your overall journey and you becoming the Collin that you are today and the things that you've been able to accomplish and do? Are there any organizations or people that stand out in your mind that have their philanthropic endeavors helped you in turn?
Yeah, there are a few people that come to mind, and it's probably many others that I don't want to forget anybody.
For sure.
But I say that the people that really come to mind, first and foremost, my family have always been very philanthropic. The Mays Family Institute is housed at the Lilly School of Philanthropy at IUPUI in Indianapolis. And it's the first institute in the world that focuses specifically on Black philanthropy. So if someone is studying philanthropy, which you can at the Lilly School, you can get a certificate from the Mays Family School of Philanthropy, which is pretty cool, right? Nice. Also my mom's godfather, who was a longtime physician, still with us, 100 years old. His name is William Anderson. He'll actually be a featured speaker at the Detroit Historical museum on MLK Day this year.
Nice.
And he marched with MLK, and he really taught me a lot about giving back through action, through service. And he's actually the reason, too, why I wanted to become an alpha, because he's an alpha. And I really admired him throughout my entire life. There's been so many others, like just organizations, again, like, Black Family Development has been such a pillar in the community. Another person that I really admire in the philanthropic space is Tracy Webb. I started following her blog called Black Gives Back, and that really kind of motivated me to expand a little bit more in the term of philanthropy. Lynetta Gilbert, who's down in New Orleans, which is where the Soul of Philanthropy is to this day. A businessman in Detroit who's no longer with us, but was very philanthropic, was Howard Sims. And I think about the work that he did with the Charles H. Wright Museum and some of the other pieces just around the city of Detroit that he really sculpted and created. He's a philanthropist that I think a lot of people, I don't want to say forget about, but don't realize like the mark that he really left in Detroit.
Very dope. Very dope. And I know that I've had people that invest in me along the way, and it was very serendipitous as far as the Soul of Philanthropy exhibit, because I got a chance to be a part of that with one of my mentors, Renee Fluker from Midnight Golf Program. And then
She's
also,
a great one.
Renee Fluker, and then people that I've got a chance to see and admire over the years, such as Gail Perry Mason as well. So who's also, been on Black Fridays also. And so, just was super dope to be able to have those influences, people that help, shape me in some type of way, be in that room and be a part of that as well. So my people was there. So I know I asked you the question, but some of my folks was a part of that exhibit. So definitely a very serendipitous moment.
And there's so many others. Like I said, I didn't want to forget anybody. Cheryl Johnson with COTS, and as you mentioned, Gail Perry Mason and Renee Fluker, who I have a ton of respect for. Donna Gibbons Davison, who's done a great job with Eastside Community Network. One that really meant a lot to us was being able to feature Marlo Stoudemire.
Yes.
And the great contributions that he made, being able to feature him in Valencia was certainly amazing, and a great opportunity to showcase all the positive things that he's contributed to Detroit.
Absolutely. And for those who say, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough resources, in terms of being more philanthropic or giving back in whatever way, shape, or form, how would you encourage them to start giving back, or what would you say to them that might nudge them in the right direction to let them know they have something to offer?
I would say just it just takes action. Whether if it's you're giving $1 to an organization that you believe in, whether if it's you're giving your time to help educate different people, whether if it's you're giving your service to I don't know, maybe a block club, right? And that was one area that we didn't touch yet, but I think we will in 2025 is kind of the block clubs in Detroit.
We got to bring the block parties back, man. Don't nobody do those no more. We got to bring the block club back.
We got to bring the block parties, the block clubs, because that's the essence of the community, right? And I think being able to have that and being able to touch upon that. And I really encourage people that are thinking of careers to go into. And I've worked with some high school students and they're like, I don't know what I want to do when I graduate from high school. I'm like, well, that's your perfect reason to go into education. And I look at organizations like Black Male Educators Alliance that are doing fantastic work. The population of this country with Black educators and brown educators under 2%. So it's important that people go on journeys that can really give back. And it's not all about the money, man. I've been victim of that too, right? It's not all about the money. It's about giving back and making a difference.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Ever since I had the opportunity to go through the Midnight Golf Program and then come out on the other end of it, always thought that no matter where you are in life, regardless, even back then, me being a young person, just leaving high school, starting college, knowing that you always have something to give. Like whether I used to volunteer a lot or if you can mentor somebody that's younger than you, it doesn't always have to be monetary, and you do have something to give. You do have something to offer. So anybody listening, encourage you to any organizations that you may have interest in or want to be a part of, definitely go out and try to infiltrate those or your community by volunteering, providing resources, whatever it is that you feel that you can do, because it does go a long way, and you don't know who can benefit from the other end of it. And, in a perfect world, I have a conversation back and forth with a friend about this. In a perfect world, philanthropy and these different type of organizations wouldn't exist, because we wouldn't need it if, everything worked accordingly. But, that makes a little bit too much sense. And we got to be complicated as a society and a world, a country, all those good things. But because these people are out there fighting the good fight and on the front lines, putting their best foot forward, it's best that we do support them and the people that they're trying to help, within reason, of course. Like, don't lose your shirt trying to give everything. If you don't have to. If that's you, then hey, more power to you. But,
Absolutely. No, and I just want to echo that, Denzel. Please go out, support great organizations like the Collab, other great organizations out there, and just make a difference. It's all about action and about service.
Absolutely. So, Collin, people listening to this, if they want to sponsor the symposium that you have coming up, if they want to work with you for your consulting services, or if they just want to get in touch with you, pick your brain about some of the things we talked about today, where can they find you? What's all your links, your handles, all that good stuff?
Man, I'm very active on LinkedIn. Maybe too much can definitely get you in trouble if the wrong person is looking. But definitely LinkedIn, Collin, Collin, Mays, Mays. I'm having fun, man. I'm doing what I want to do. I'm having a lot of fun. My entire career has been public service. I will more than likely jump back to it. I just love it, man. I just love giving back to communities. And I view my work really as an artist, and I'm drawing a picture through my work with economic development or community development, workforce development to really enhance communities. So I'll definitely be getting back into local government, but it's good for me to kind of take a break and focus on the nonprofit side, which is something I'm good at too. So, but yeah, just connect with me. I'm on LinkedIn. The symposium is going to be fantastic. I have no doubt about it. Like I said, Wayne State's been a great sponsor. We're looking for another sponsor to help out with the other half of it, but I'm confident we'll get there. And we're just going to keep promoting good content, man. That's what it's about.
Absolutely. And I never heard anyone from the public sector space talk about their work as an artist. So I love that comparison, because being able to, the work that you do, you can see it as a canvas, and then being able to, continue to improve and develop that each and every day. I see what you're saying. I see where you're coming from.
Yeah,
so yeah, I like that.
So I take it like, for example, if I worked for the city of Detroit, the entire city would be my canvas, and the work that I put in to address whatever process or procedure that needs to be changed, that's me being an artist and me trying to recraft what the city is.
Dope. Love it. So, Collin, I appreciate you for joining me on here, my brother. You're always welcome on Black Friday.
I appreciate you. I'll be back. Yeah. No doubt. I'll be back.
Absolutely. You're always welcome on Black Fridays, man. And always great to catch up with you and talk about the great work that you're doing. And if y'all haven't noticed, when I get a chance to talk to Collin, I get the inside scoop on stuff that's happening in the future. So it's always good to be able to connect with you and then also get that future insight as well.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you, man.
Absolutely. And everybody watching, tap in with y'all soon. Peace.